So this is Lilith, I think, part 2. Here we've got the only real female. We'll explain why, Lilith, and that's the Rossetti painting of Lilith. As you can see, the devil's seat, no, it was Adam's first wife. And of course we want to find out where she is, because she transmigrates from body to body. And of course, Lilith was in this vessel. There we go. Madonna. Look at the stuff, you'll see all the black magic, occult symbolism in her career. We won't scroll through ad nauseum. But of course, Lilith then moves once the vessel becomes too old, and she was absolutely worshipped in a time. There we are, Madonna. And move to the new vessel, this one. There we go. As you can see in the video, she's constrained and used for the American psychic warfare program, which doesn't please Lilith at all. So obviously it's payback time. So you can think of the proto-Adam looking this way and Lilith looking that way, and as the source's scout wanders down, she bifurcates. Proto-Adam never ever leaves the line. The line is Proto-Adam. Lilith is the one that bifurcates. Lilith bifurcates into two. And in Kabbalah, the archdemon of Keter is called Thormiel, the double-headed god. So that's where you see the origin of that. If you want to know about all the archdemons, etc., just look at my magic videos, which were stolen, according to his girlfriend, from people like me, by Jeremiah Schwartz and the CIA. I didn't know until the girlfriend divulged where his video information was coming from. So we know the CIA are bereft of knowledge and simply on a thieving frenzy using snake oil cells, which have to be Jewish, of course, because the whole point of the CIA is to bring in the one world Jewish government. That's why they don't like dear old Vladimir Putin. Anyway, continuing, one can see the bifurcation here. Now, it then bifurcates again to 4. Now in the Garden of Eden we've got Adam allegedly creates Eve from his ribs. But the sourceness, which produces reality, hasn't come from the proto-atom, because the proto-atom, yours truly, never ever left sourceness. Simply sent the female scout, which is the opposite side of the soliton, to go scouting chaos, to grow more sourceness by omega-helizing it, which is the purpose of Amalek, which we've explained. But we haven't explained that Adam couldn't produce Eve from his ribs because any reality that goes into chaos came from Lilith, which is female. And Lilith has to split into two to venture forth into chaos to reach the strange attractor, beyond which is the reality which you live in. Remember, that's the eagle. So what's the bifurcation of Lilith? And what is the other Lilith? Well, in Kabbalah, the other Lilith, when she ventures from Adam and bifurcates as she goes into chaos, is Namah. This is the other aspect of Lilith as she breaks into two. Thormiel, the other god, and Namah is the other aspect of Lilith. So, Namah is the first mother of the Nephilim. Why? Well, where did Lucifer get his light from? Lilith. And when did she lose light? When she bifurcated into two. Hence, Namah is the first mother of the Nephilim, the fallen angel, and Lucifer. Here, of course, you can go through her traits. As I say, if you look on YouTube, you'll find there's fascinating information. Of course, occluded, but it's there if you look for it, and you know the whole story, which, of course, being the world's expert on remote sensing, so I can not only remotely sense all information in any intelligence agency or any person, I can remotely sense all the information from the Akashic record, which is all knowledge, which makes me omniscient, potentially. So, Namah is Lilith split into two, Lilith and Namah, and of course she's losing sourceness. Where does the sourceness go? It goes, of course, to the great Lord Lucifer, which we explained. The light to cause the fall came from the split of Lilith into two. So Namah was the first mother of the Nephilim.
Stick texts. 4 demonic mothers are mentioned: Lilith, Nama, Egrat, and Mashalat. Among these, only one is dubbed the mother of all demons, and described as the mother of Ashmedai, the prince of demons. This figure is Nama, a name that is quite common among women in modern Israel. Unlike the more famous Lilith, little has been written about Nama. In this short article, we will review what we know of her and the beliefs and traditions surrounding her character. Nama's name first appears in the 4th chapter of the book of Genesis. The text describes her as the daughter of Lamech and sister of Tubal-Cain, a member of a dynasty that originated with the infamous Cain, who murdered his brother Abel. This lineage continued with Enoch, a fascinating figure who was no more, for God took him, and who is sometimes associated with the angel Metatron. Like Enoch in Jewish magical and Kabbalah.
So, we've shown that the light of Lucifer comes from the split, and Namah would then be the mother of the demons. And of course she would be transmigrating too, like Lilith. So at this juncture, sourceness, the light is lost, because to go into chaos you have to lose more and more light. Who's the recipient? The great Lord Lucifer. Now, of course, we then go into the bifurcation of 4. And if you remember in that past video, there were 4 of these ultimate archdemonesses mentioned in Kabbalah. Egret and, you know. So, here's the 4. We've explained that now. All thanks to YouTube. As I say, you look, but likewise, if you go in the opposite direction, you want to upload new sourceness to make the source bigger by omega helizing chaos, which we've explained comes from this zone. Chaos can't see it, and you simply possess chaos to torture itself. We've explained how, simplistically, in the angel heart clip before. So, maleness is simply travelling backwards. So, the upload to the recipient, which is me, the proto-Adam, the Lord of the Rings, the King Vampire, and now the Jewish Messiah, means that travelling backwards is maleness. And likewise, it's impossible for Eve to be created from Adam's ribs, because any reality was produced by Lilith, branching into the Ma and into Egret, etc. before. So, the process of vampirism, with the source growing bigger from the omega halization of chaos, which is now completed thanks to Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk and the CIA, the endgame producing total Amalek, where chaos is no longer a problem for the source, no longer a threat, but has been fully possessed, rather like a parasitic wasp larvae eating alive a caterpillar, and has burst forth. All chaos is simply vampirized to produce more sourceness. Hence, all source newness are vampires, and their leader would be the king vampire. Therefore, the kings of Edom were always, and the queens of Edom were always, vampires. Makes sense now. So, with Adam and Eve, according to the Bible, Eve was created from Adam's rib, which is garbage. The rib is, in shamanism, either side are the points for dreaming and the points for remote viewing, which is projecting your dreaming body while awake. So, Eve would have been made from a dreaming body, splitting the other, as in shamanism, and then making that real using the power of Lilith. But since we've taught that the realness comes from the female, Lilith splitting into the Ma, and then Egret and the other one, it's obvious that Eve produced Adam from her rib. Eve was reality. Adam was simply her dreaming body reversed in direction, or her remote viewing body reversed in direction, or a tulpa.
Mystical realms of Tibetan Buddhism. There exists a curious phenomenon called the tulpa. These ethereal beings are not born of flesh and bone, but rather from the sheer force of disciplined thought. Picture this: a devoted practitioner, eyes closed, meditating with unwavering focus. as their mind weaves intricate patterns. A tulpa begins to take shape of phantom form, a thought made flesh, but beware. A tulpa can take on any shape or appearance, and these creations can break free from their creator's control, gaining independence and purpose. Like a child leaving its mother's womb, a tulpa steps into existence, a testament to the power of the mind.
So the tulpa can simply be made from Lilith's splitting, and remember, if you reverse the flow, it becomes male. So we go 1 to 2, reverse, you get Adam and Eve. Flow forward, you get Lilith and Nama. And then you go to the 4, then you get reversed, you get 2 males, Cain and Abel. So one can see that everything that's real in chaos comes from one recipient, which of course is Lilith. So here, going backwards, we would have maleness, but since Lilith has maleness because she's part of the line, you only have one male, basically. So Namar vanishes going backwards, and you simply got Lilith and Adam, the first marriage. Here you've got 2, so you've got going backwards your Adam and Eve, because remember, Eve makes Adam, then we got another Eve makes Adam, and remember in Kabbalah we got the 4 names, so we're explaining it, and since she's losing something to make the male, which of course is matrix, made real, and a 2-lobed Nagwal, that would be the production of your 3-lobed Nagwal woman, which of course the incarnations of Egret and the other one would be Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus, which were part of the bet. So it's all starting to fit together. And the 3-lobed Nagwal women are 3-lobed because one of the lobes, they've lost something to produce the 2-lobed males. And we've got Tubal, Cain and Abel. So as you can see, there is no male in the world that isn't a tulpa or a rib making or a projection of via remote viewing or by dreaming body of a female. There's only one original male around, which is Proto-Adam. Yours truly, the King Vampire, the Psylord, the Lord of the Rings, and now the Jewish Messiah. So all other males are simply projections of, tulpas, creations of, bifurcations of, dreaming body or remote viewing, bilocation they call it in American military, remote viewing, bilocated bodies of females. And here are the other 2, Egret and Malek.
Among the
So, one can see that the fallen angels and Lucifer were created by the loss of sourceness from this process. And all males are simply riven off aspects of Lilith, femaleness, as it degenerates down Feigenbaum period doubling. So, to complete the process, Proto-Adam, that's yours truly, the Psylord, would have to bring back all of the light lost by the degeneration of Lilith as she ventures further and further into chaos and eventually gets locked into chaos and can't escape. So Lilith gets locked in her ultimate vessel, which of course is Taylor Swift, for Omega Hellization, and all of that light of the source would then be totally downloaded into Lucifer. Then the source would want all that light back, hence the bets done. And then of course new light is produced by Lucifer growing into not Amalek but total Amalek, which is all the anomalies take over all chaos, so the architect is simply caught in its own matrix, Omega Hellized for all eternity, with everything chaotic, which has happened thanks to Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk that have ended all Jewish messiahs and made the only Jewish messiah the source, the Side Lord, who's Omega Hellizing and feeding off chaos. So one can see that the Neos, the Jesuses, have to climb back up Feigenbaum period doubling, and the fuel to get them moving, of course, is the sourceness in Lilith. So the more times you use that sourceness to try and get Neos to reach the source, to solve the anomaly for the architects and the Jew God, the more Lilith descends into chaos. So, with your Trinity and Neo, Trinity is producing Neo to venture up to try and reach the sourceness, to bring you sourceness to cancel the anomaly. But of course this is futile, because as this happens, the sourceness used to produce the Neo, that's the male version of Lilith, or her bifurcated derivatives, pushes Lilith further down into chaos. And eventually, poor old Lilith is going to reach the grey area here. Occupied by Lucifer. So there's going to be a bit of a tete-a-tete between Lucifer and Lilith. Because Lucifer depends upon Lilith's sourceness for the light, free will, to be Lucifer. So the more Lilith is tortured, the greater Lucifer becomes. And production of Amalek means that in that universe, the source's scout, Lilith, has become totally Omega Hellized, given away all the light. Amalek takes over, consumes the architect, the Jew God, Adonai, Sabaoth, Yahweh, Tetragrammaton, Elohim, strange attractor, and Amalek takes over as the other god. So we've got nothing to do with Jews, nothing to do with Neos. It's all to do with Lilith. And the more that chaos tries to Neoize Jesus, Messiah, males, which are in fact bifurcated aspects of Lilith, the more Lilith is pushed down until she eventually expires, and the expired Lilith produces from Lucifer the light to produce Amalek and the end of the Jew God. And the Neos use their fuel, the Jesus, to try and touch the source, and of course meet Proto-Adam, who will have none of it. So they go back to cure that anomaly, but they don't, because they're angel-hearted. They think they've cured the anomaly, but in fact all they've done is killed everything that helped them and their families and then a la angel heart. Wow, this is a big mind and an F expletive. None of this has ever been revealed, but being the Proto-Adam, the Jewish Messiah, I'm revealing it to all of you. Which means that all the Nagel men were in fact aspects of Lilith's bifurcation. And there can only be, if you look at the bifurcation chart in the whole of the universe, it goes to 16, and when they go backwards they become male. So at most you could get 16 Nagwals in existence at one time, no more. And the same with Nagwal females, but they all come from Lilith. All reality comes from Lilith, and once she's lost all of her sourceness, all that remains is her sourceness to suffer eternally and never die from the torture, which produces maximal yield for the source. But now we come to the paradox. If the source sends the source's scout into chaos for this process to totally omega helize chaos to the source level, then of course would not the source be losing source with the scout, which of course goes to omega helization? No, because the sourceness goes to Lucifer, that becomes Amalek, and in the completion via the 8th king of Edom, yours truly. That's another title. I'm growing titles by the month, though I do like the Jewish Messiah. One can see that total Amalek is the total loss of sourceness from Lilith in every single, not only universe, multiverse, megaverse, all consumed by Lucifer to make total Amalek, and therefore it was vital that Jua win the bet for me, the source, so all the sourceness comes back to me, because of course total Amalek's Lucifer evolving into another double or quits bet, which is total Amalek becomes my eternal slave, and all of total Amalek's power becomes mine and my purview alone. So the sourceness from Lilith comes back to the source. A happy ending for the male Side Lord. Rather bad news though for all femaleness. So with Lilith, we've now had her fully omega helized, and she's lost all of her sourceness and become totally dark, like Satan. And remember, with the Jew God, the architect, when Lucifer is totally consumed by the architect, the anomaly ended. Lucifer loses his light so that the Jew God can produce reality from the matrix. Likewise, Lilith has become fully dark, lost all the sourceness, so that all the light can go into total Amalek to possess her as the architect possessed Lucifer for eternal torture. But since she was the scout of the source, all of chaos, via the Jeremiah Schwartz and the CIA ritual, retains the ability to be tortured forever and never die, and always to be able to be tortured at higher power levels for maximum yield for the source. So one can see that the Satanization of Lucifer, the architect, has happened with the Satanization of Lilith by Lucifer. So that every Satanization of Lucifer that occurred in the past never happened, because we've got the inverse. Lilith, the goddess of light, the source, becoming the dark goddess. But here, of course, we've got the dark goddess of liberation. What? Yeah, because remember, Lucifer is turned into Satan so the Jew gods can end anomalies. But if we've got Lilith losing her sourceness to become the dark goddess, she liberates Lucifer. So the reason that Lucifer is liberated from being taken over by the Jew god to end the anomalies and produce a Jew creation is Lilith becoming the dark goddess. So the dark goddess Lilith produces total Amalek to produce all of chaos, being a power source to produce more sourceness. Well, that's a double mind F expletive. So here's Lilith locked in her cell, which of course is her omega hellization, because she's lost all her light and she's being tortured, which of course is the Fortnite video. And she of course has produced total Amalek, which is producing new sourceness, which could be used to reboot her. But where's the new sourceness going to? It's going to the other aspect on the way up, Namar. And who was the reincarnation of Namar? There we are. This is the reincarnation of Namar that had to be omega hellized by giving itself of its own free will and occult ritual of engagement to Chaos, the Jew god, the servant of the Hollywood Jews, and the architect. Wouldn't mind if he was good looking, but that's not a good looking guy. Anyway, never mind, that's her decision. So, she's been omega hellized, which means Namar has vanished. So, with this, we've got rid of Namar's final incarnation, which is Dua Lipa. And remember, when you're returning backwards, you're getting all this sourceness. One or the other of these lines will be going back to give the source all of the energy. The Namar line extinguished, but we still got the Swifty line because she hasn't got engaged to the Pfizer poster boy. But of course she has to be male for the upline trip. But our girl has sorted that one out too.